The holographic display flickered to life in the center of the Galactic Council's war room, casting blue light across the faces of a dozen species. Orla stood at attention beside the projection console, her fingers dancing across the haptic controls. The young archaeologist had spent 3 years excavating the ruins on Kepler 442b, but nothing had prepared her for what she'd found in the Precursor vault. "Council members," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of 200 eyes upon her. "What you're about to see is authenticated footage from the Precursor Wars dated approximately 50,000 years ago. We've verified the data crystals through quantum degradation analysis." The Kryn ambassador, a towering insectoid with mandibles that clicked nervously, leaned forward. "The precursors have been extinct for millennia. What could this possibly—" The hologram exploded into motion and every voice in the chamber died. The footage showed a battlefield in the void of space. Massive biomechanical ships, the legendary precursor dreadnoughts, filled the frame, their organic hulls pulsing with bioluminescent veins. They moved with impossible grace, reality itself bending around their passage. These were the beings who had seeded life across 1,000 worlds, who had built megastructures that still defied comprehension, who had vanished without explanation. And they were losing. Against them flew a single fighter craft, crude, angular, built from riveted metal plates that looked prehistoric compared to precursor technology. Rocket exhaust flared from chemical thrusters, ballistic weapons, spat tracer rounds through the void. "Impossible," whispered the Yethkara observer, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that spoke of confusion. "That design is primitive, pre-quantum, pre-graviton. That's a chemically propelled—" The fighter pilot's voice crackled through the speakers, rough and distorted through ancient communication systems. "This is Adam 7 Alpha to Flight Command. I've got 3 more on my tail. Ammunition at 40%. These bastards are fast, but they turn like freight haulers." Orla's breath caught. She'd listened to this recording 100 times in the excavation tent, but hearing it here, in this chamber, made her skin prickle. The fighter juked left, right, spinning on its axis in maneuvers that should have liquefied any organic pilot. The G-forces involved were— "Pause," commanded Kethrex, the Council's military strategist. His 4 eyes focused on different aspects of the frozen image. "That pilot, what species?" Orla's hands trembled slightly as she manipulated the controls. The image zoomed, enhanced, focused on the cockpit. Through the scratched canopy, a figure in a pressure suit was visible. The helmet's faceplate reflected the chaos outside. "Human," Orla said quietly. The silence that followed was absolute. Humans were the newest species to achieve interstellar travel, barely 2 centuries of spaceflight, still using fusion drives, still mapping their own galactic neighborhood. They were considered the galaxy's younger siblings, enthusiastic, creative, but ultimately unremarkable in a cosmos filled with species that had mastered stellar engineering millennia ago. "That's not possible," the Kryn ambassador stated flatly. "Humans didn't exist 50,000 years ago. Their evolutionary records—" "Are incomplete," Orla interrupted, then immediately regretted her boldness. "The data crystal doesn't lie. Quantum dating is absolute. This footage is authentic." "Continue the playback," Kethrex ordered. The hologram resumed. The human fighter, Adam's fighter, rolled through a maneuver that bent physics to its breaking point. His weapons blazed, and one of the precursor dreadnoughts shuddered. Impossible. Primitive ballistic rounds against shields that could deflect stellar radiation. But the dreadnought's bioluminescent veins flickered, darkened in sections. "Flight Command, Adam 7 Alpha. Target is wounded, moving to exploit." "Someone tell me you're getting this recorded because—" The audio crackled with interference. Then a new voice, female, cutting through the static. "All units, this is Commander Orla. Adam, break off your attack run. That's a direct order." Orla's head snapped up from the console. That name, that voice. On the display, Adam's fighter continued its impossible dance. Negative, Commander. I've got a clean shot. These things killed Harper, killed Yuki, killed... Adem! The commander's voice was sharp now. You're already past human tolerances. Your vitals are redlining. Break! Off! Just one more. The fighter's weapons fired again, a sustained burst that seemed to drain the craft's power reserves. The Precursor dreadnought's shields collapsed in a cascade of failing light. The massive vessel began listing, its organic systems failing. But 3 more Precursor ships converged on the tiny human craft. Adam! The commander's voice cracked with emotion that transcended 50 millennia. Eject! Eject now! Can't, Commander. Adam's voice had changed. Softer now. Tired. Ejection system took a hit 3 maneuvers back, but I've got enough fuel for one more run. Tell Earth. Tell them we made them proud. What followed made even the battle-hardened Cathrex recoil. The human fighter accelerated directly toward the largest Precursor dreadnought, weapons blazing until they ran dry, then simply rammed the vessel at a significant fraction of light speed. The explosion that followed created a temporary star. When the sensors adjusted, 6 Precursor dreadnoughts were drifting, crippled, or destroyed. The human fighter was gone, but in the distance, dozens more human craft were appearing, their primitive drives flaring like defiant candles against the void. The footage ended. Orla stood in the heavy silence, tears streaming down her face. She finally understood the last document in the vault, a personal log, encrypted with a code that had taken her months to break. There's more, she said quietly, accessing the audio file. A personal recording from Commander Orla, made after the battle. Her own voice, or rather, her ancestor's voice, separated by 500 centuries, filled the chamber. Personal log, Commander Orla Chen. They're calling it a victory. We drove the Precursors back. Humanity survives. But the cost... A pause, heavy with grief. We lost 87 pilots today. Adam was the best of us. They want me to release his combat footage to Earth for morale. But I can't. I can't let them hear him like that. Scared, young, his voice cracking when he knew he wouldn't make it. So I'm sealing these records. Let history remember us as heroes. Let them forget we were terrified children playing with weapons we barely understood, fighting gods we had no right to challenge. Another pause. Mute the audio. I sounded awful back then. The recording ended with the sound of quiet weeping. Cathrex spoke first, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. The Precursors didn't vanish. They retreated from humans. Orla nodded, unable to speak. The Kryn ambassador's mandibles clicked slowly. And humans? Forgot. Collective amnesia, Orla managed. The war nearly destroyed Earth. They chose to forget, to start over. The records were sealed, lost. Until now. The Yithkara observer's light pattern shifted to something resembling awe. We share this galaxy with the species that defeated the Precursors, and they did it with chemical rockets and ballistic weapons. Cathrex stood, his massive form casting shadows across the hologram. The question before this council is simple. Do we tell humanity what they are? What they've always been? Orla looked at the frozen image of that primitive fighter craft, its pilot dead for 50,000 years, and thought of the young man who'd given everything for a species that would forget his name. They'll remember eventually, she said softly. Humans always do. But when they do, we'd better hope they still consider us friends. In the silence that followed, no one disagreed.